Welcome back, everybody, to the Fantasy Birds. Today, we are bringing you three wide receiver sleepers that we need to be targeting in fantasy football 2022 drafts. Let's hop into our three sleepers that we're targeting. The first guy on our list today is going to be Adam Theilan, the wideout for the Minnesota Vikings, coming off a brutal season a year ago with that ankle injury in Week 12. Took him out for basically the entirety of the remaining schedule. But let's look at the first 11 games that Adam Thielen played in last season in 2021. In those first 11 games, he's seeing over 8 targets per game in this Minnesota run-first offense. And in these first 11 games, he posted 10 total touchdowns. We know Adam Thielen from 2020 and 2021. He's been elite in the red zone, double-digit touchdowns each of the previous seasons while still missing games. So that's one thing to consider, that Adam Thielen does a lot of his damage in the red zone, even though his yardage numbers aren't going to be as elite as some of the other options on his team. Let's look at Justin Jefferson from a year ago. Targets with Adam Thielen in the lineup, just around 9 targets per game. Adam Thielen just under 8.5. So Adam Thielen's clearly the number 2 option on this team. No one's debating that. But there is room for Adam Thielen to make a name for himself in fantasy, even with Justin Jefferson posting these incredible first-round numbers like he has done in the past. So just under 1 target less than Justin Jefferson from a season ago. This is going to continue as Justin Jefferson becomes a more elite and dominant route runner in the NFL. This Minnesota offense clearly has shown the ability to foster 3 fantasy relevant players, Dalvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, and Adam Thielen, in the past 2 seasons. And we expect that to continue with new head coach Kevin O'Connell. Mike Zimmer now out of town. Great defensive-minded head coach, really wants to run the football and play defense. That really wasn't working for this team. Kevin O'Connell comes in, and we've seen from the offseason reports that this is going to be a pass-first team. Justin Jefferson's talked about it on social media, that he's very excited on what the offense is going to look like this year. Kirk Cousins should be able to throw the ball more consistently down the field, less reliant on Dalvin Cook as he enters into age 27 season in the NFL. As this team progresses to a more pass-oriented offense, Adam Thielen, we saw it from a year ago and the previous season before that. He's shown the ability to be a dominant wide receiver 2 in this offense alongside Jefferson. Going as wide receiver 35 off the board, I don't see why Adam Thielen's stock is being nicked just because Justin Jefferson's emergence, but we've seen his ability to hold his value even with Jefferson providing that incredible ceiling in fantasy, more of that big play, run after the catch kind of guy. But Adam Thielen's that possession receiver that this team relies on third down, and especially in the red zone, with double-digit touchdowns the past 2 seasons like we talked about. So if I can get him wide receiver 35 with top 24 upside, as long as he's healthy in this pass-first offense, Adam Thielen, a no-brainer smash pick for us. Getting him well after what he should provide. Definitely not the ceiling as some other guys, but he's going to have a very safe floor on this team. Definitely a guy you can plug in as your wide receiver 3 with immediate upside each and every week from that touchdown capability. The next guy on our list is going to be Russell Gage, now of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Signed that 3-year, $30 million contract in the offseason, $20 million of that guaranteed. So Buccaneers are telling us with this contract that he's going to be a staple in this offense going forward. You don't give a guy $20 million guaranteed if you're not expecting to use him in your offense. We look at a guy like Juju Smith-Schuster in Kansas City getting nowhere near this type of money. Russell Gage's upside has been hindered the past couple of seasons, being in that Atlanta Falcons offense that has struggled mightily with Matt Ryan losing a couple of his top guys in Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. But Russell Gage has improved his numbers each of the past 3 seasons, yards per game and touchdowns per game, increasing each season. So we've seen the development in his game from year to year. And now he gets the best offense he's played in his entire career, with Tom Brady leading the way. Brady, 5,300 yards passing last season. That led the NFL. And let's look at this Buccaneers offense and what it projects to look like, especially in the beginning of the season. Losing Rob Gronkowski to retirement as of now, we still have to see. We've seen Gronk come out of retirement before, but Gronkowski gone. Chris Godwin dealing with that ACL and MCL tear, so not just your typical ACL rehab there. Godwin went down at the end of the season, so he's going to miss easily the beginning portion of the season, and there's been rumors that he's behind schedule on his ACL rehab, so we might not see Godwin until even the halfway point of the year or beyond that point. So I'm looking at Russell Gage as being the number 2 target on this team for a Tom Brady-led offense. It's something I am desperate to get a piece of every single draft that I can. 278 targets will be missing from this Buccaneers team at the beginning of the season with Chris Godwin gone. We haven't even talked about Antonio Brown. We saw exactly what happened with him last season. He's not going to be a part of this team. And he was a focal point in the passing game for Tom Brady, some guy he really relied on going down the stretch. So we're missing Godwin, Antonio Brown, and Rob Gronkowski. 3 of the top 4 pass catchers on this team will be gone for the beginning of the season. That's something that Russell Gage is going to immediately step into and have a huge role on this team. He's got the team compensation with the $20 million guaranteed. He's got the opportunity with the injuries around him. Now he's just got to put it together in the best team he's been on his entire career with the best quarterback in Tom Brady. Mike Evans, his real only target competition in the offense. Mike Evans, obviously one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. He's going to get a lot of volume, especially in the red zone. We've seen Mike Evans be one of the best red zone threats in the NFL. But Russell Gage definitely can be a guy that moves the sticks for Tom Brady, a Julian Edelman type of guy, slot wide receiver. So if we're not drafting Russell Gage where he's going in drafts, you're missing out. According to Fantasy Pros ADP, Russell Gage currently the 48th wide receiver off the board. This is way too late for a guy that could step into the number 2 wide receiver on a Tom Brady-led offense. I don't think there's much more to say there. Russell Gage is definitely someone we need to be targeting when he's going at wide receiver 48 ADP consensus rankings. So definitely room for improvement there. Could sneak into a top 24 wide receiver. We've seen Tom Brady be able to facilitate to 3 to 4 top 24 options at the wide receiver and tight end level. So Russell Gage is a no-brainer pick if you get in and you need some wide receiver help later in the draft. Last guy I want to talk about today is going to be Christian Watson, the new wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers. Steps into a huge target opportunity in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers, let's not forget, Aaron Rodgers, the MVP of the 2021 NFL season. Aaron Rodgers getting that huge contract, not able to pay Davante Adams. He's no longer with the team, but they spend the 2nd round pick on Christian Watson. Everyone wants to point to Aaron Rodgers doesn't trust his young wide receivers. But that's because he doesn't have very talented young wide receivers in the past. The last 2nd round pick wide receiver they've had, Davante Adams, that turned out pretty well. Christian Watson going early in the 2nd round for this team. A very young, athletic wide receiver that they're getting. 6'4", 210, 4.36, 40. He has all the measurables to be a great wide receiver in the league, and he's stepping into a team that's losing a huge target share with Davante Adams over 160 targets. Marquez Valdez-Scantling no longer with the team. The only real target competition Watson will see will be the likes of Allen Lazard, Sammy Watkins, and Randall Cobb. A lot of people want to be pumping Allen Lazard up with the recent Davante Adams departure, but Allen Lazard has had opportunities with Davante Adams missing from the lineup with injury, and Lazard has not been able to put it together. Doesn't seem like a very good wide receiver prospect going into age 26 season. So we've seen Lazard for a couple of years now, and he hasn't really been able to put it together. And Lazard is nowhere near the prospect that Christian Watson is. Lazard, more expensive in drafts coming into the season and just not worth the pick. Doesn't have the exact upside that Watson does to become that rookie phenom that we've seen in the past. A lot of people want to point to rookie wide receivers not being able to produce, but it has been changing as these offenses are changing in college football. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Jalen Waddle, these 3 guys stepping into their roles on their football teams, respectively, and producing top 24 fantasy numbers. So we need to be looking at these rookie wide receivers and saying, who has the best potential to step into a wide receiver 1 role? And it's got to be Christian Watson with all the injuries and departures that we've said from this team. We haven't even mentioned Robert Tonyan tearing his ACL. He's going to be coming back from rehab. Should be good to go. But I'm not willing to say that Robert Tonyan's going to be controlling a huge target share from Aaron Rodgers. As the wide receiver 59 off boards consensus average draft position, Watson definitely, you're basically getting him for free in drafts, and he has insane upside to crack into that top 24 for the MVP of last season, Aaron Rodgers. Someone's going to be catching these passes from Rodgers as he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, undisputably. And I don't see why it can't be Christian Watson. We've seen Sammy Watkins on the Chiefs. We've been waiting for him to break out each and every season as he's from the Ravens. and the Chiefs hasn't been able to do it with those top quarterbacks. So I don't see why anyone can have any faith in guys like Sammy Watkins and Allen Lazard when this top prospect coming out of college is just waiting to develop chemistry and become the next phenom rookie in the NFL with the best quarterback, arguably, in the NFL. Christian Watson, definitely a guy we need to be grabbing for basically free at the end of drafts when he has top 10 upside with the MVP of 2021, Aaron Rodgers. But those are three guys that we love in fantasy football 2022 that you're getting for extremely cheap, given their average draft position, all outside the top 30 wide receivers with upside to crack into the top 24. We thank you guys for watching the Fantasy Birds wide receiver sleepers, and we'll see you guys next week with another episode.